I'm your host, Sir Chad Evergrow Shears. Today I'm talking about self-expression. What comes to mind with self-expression is we all are trying to do it. Everybody wants to express themselves, but a lot of us are so incredibly concerned with other people's views that we will taper our own expression to try to fit into a box that may not even be what the other person's imposing on you. Could be the restrictions you put on yourself based off of a facade of a person that you want everyone else to believe you are, or you want another person to believe you are. Self-expression is, you're still being self-expressed, but you're being self-expressed with delusion and deception, if that be the case. It is so much more enjoyable, rewarding, and deeply satisfying when you express yourself to who you are. As an example, like whenever I do things like I like to sing karaoke. Not that I'm good, I just enjoy doing it. I'm pretty entertaining overall, at least as the general feedback. But it's something so incredibly satisfying is when you just let go and you just live in that moment and just as true to that moment as you possibly can be, where let the crowd disappear and then just do. As I've mentioned in previous videos, like I've even sang karaoke naked at a nudist resort. It was a fear exercise for me to do that. But what has come through that is facing challenges in life that might have otherwise stopped me, because I started building and using exercises to overcome fear, that other areas of life I could graft that exercise lesson structure or principles or values from those lessons that I've taken on and graft them onto an area that I'm not as familiar with, but fear be present. Because we typically have more of an aptitude for being courageous in areas we're more proficient in. But if you're less proficient in it, you're more likely to fail, and you're therefore less courageous on average. So I take on things that are, some of them are pretty simple. To be rejected by a crowd, well, to get up and sing and have people boo me wouldn't be horrible for me. I've already gone through, just going to a regular karaoke thing or whatever. I could do that simply, and if I were to get booed or no reaction whatsoever, okay, so I got rejected, but that's not that bad because of doing the exercise prior, whereas when I actually went in front of as I said about being out and singing karaoke naked in front of a bunch of people. That was a higher degree of potential rejection that I pushed myself through. Now, these exercises that I use, I actually formulated them at a very young age, or a fairly young age. So, as I've mentioned in previous videos, I've had crippling social anxiety, where I didn't want to interact with people unless I had somebody around that I knew that could be an anchor for me, so like a safe haven, if you will, somebody I knew that didn't reject me. And meeting new people was incredibly challenging, and anxiety-driven, and riddled. So I used that I used in self-developed. My parents were not the type that would send me off to therapy to work on anxiety, and I'm actually grateful that didn't happen, because I came up with a skill that I implement in a lot of areas now in my life. because I started taking this on. Now, with the social anxiety thing, I made it into something I enjoyed, because it went from crippling and to feel like I was, to actually have panic attacks, to switch over into this actually is giving me a little bit of adrenaline, and I like it. It just switching the context started having me interact with people more, because there was a reward sequence built into it, not just overcoming a challenge, but the other piece was the ability to, get that hit of adrenaline. Which that was the other piece that was a reward. That was actually more of a reward for me at the time than it was necessarily that I was overcoming the challenge, because that was the thing that kind of masked the overcoming the challenge thing. So being self-expressed gives you access to a lot of exercises that you can use when dealing with challenges, as my example about social anxiety. Now, this is a method that some therapists use, like agoraphobia, is fear of heavy fear of specific, a lot of things, but using a practice to get people to get closer to the fear, to realize that it isn't that bad. And that's what I use, is a very similar method to that. I just continue to put myself in an environment that I'm within proximity of the thing that scares me. And the closer I can get to that thing, I realize that it's not as dangerous as I perceived it to be. Now, of course, this goes into all aspects of our lives, including previous relationships, the potential of opening Pandora's box. If you're not familiar with that, again, go back to the previous episode that was about Pandora's box specifically. The Phoenix Pandora's box. There's quite a few things that I discussed that have to do with becoming more aware of things that scare us to non-action. But great episodes to listen to. So, using a method like this, you'll start to see where you can implement the pattern you use to overcome one thing in another area. I have a deep-rooted fear of being rejected. And because of that fear, so I'm one in 6 boys. I'm the second to youngest. I grew up with a narrative that I don't matter, and that I don't make a difference. But that I don't matter is the strongest narrative that I have. And so with that, I have been working on throughout my life to create ways of validating that I matter. Some of it is without intention. The intentional parts is more of a, like this, where I'm giving as much as I can to help others see other opportunities. The dedication I have to this particular channel, that's in the I don't matter category, and this is a way of overcoming that belief. That is a very, very young belief that I really have little ability to do anything with other than to work on overcoming it. It's not like I can just get rid of it, because it's there. It's part of the soil of who I am. The good thing about it is that it is part of my drive to make a difference, because that difference helps me understand that I do matter. It's a very deep thing, but because of that, I've been able to start creating different methods of working with situations. It's not that everything that you were given as a child is a curse. Actually, there's so many blessings that's in what we grew up with. It's absolutely profound how many blessings we have based off of what we went through in life. Tragedy is not a curse. It sucks. It's one of the things that we try to avoid throughout our life. But what comes out of it is the adapted you, the developed you, that can turn you into the next phase of your phoenix, right? Which is, you want that. It just sucks to go through it initially, but it's the same concept. Again, I use the phoenix. Some people like the diamond. A diamond takes pressure, time, and heat. things that are all, challenging to human beings. And if a diamond had sentience and the ability to decide, there'd be fewer of them in the world, because it would just pull itself out of the process before it became the thing that's considered to be so precious. So, same thing about you. But if you pull yourself out of the situation prematurely, you're never going to be able to truly realize your real potential. Being self-expressed is a major part of that. But being self-expressed means courage. Being self-expressed means you can't lie. You cannot lie about what you want. You also can't lie about what's true, what's so. Because otherwise you're not self-expressed. Not in the sense that I'm talking about, which is the deepest authentic self. Your self-expression lies in deception and cowardice. And there's no power in being a coward. Now, we all have cowardice. We all have fear. The reasons not to do something. But history isn't told through the lens of the coward. Not in a way that we appreciate them. History is told through the eyes of the ones that are courageous. The ones that just did what they could. Now, here's something to consider when it comes to self-expression. And it's a historical value. Before 1776, just before, our founding fathers, when they were told to disarm, when they said, no, we're not going to disarm, and decided to go against Great Britain and the Redcoats, when they decided to go against them, they did not believe they would win. They had not in any way did they believe they would win because of how formidable the British Army was and how scattered the colonists were. They didn't believe they would win. But they went ahead and they said, you know what? This is worth dying for. I consider that in my conversations when I have with people. Whenever I feel the desire to shrink away, use deception in order to get away from something. Because it's not like I don't have the desire to use it. I don't ever want to. Ever. I love myself too much to lie to you. You accept me as I am, or you accept me as I'm not. You will have to accept me because I will make it so that you accept me. Now, it doesn't mean that you accepting me means that, I get what I want from that relationship in the sense of the specific thing that has me want to deceive you for. Doesn't mean that. Yeah, of course, that's obviously something that's always weighed on the table, but that's just the way that we work as human beings. I choose never to use that method. To me, that is what is hell. Create a hell. And the best way to create a hell is to lie to people. So, self-expression requires that if you want to be the most authentic self, and the most powerful, potent, and authentic, and capable self, stand in honesty and face fear. Be self-expressed. It is so incredibly liberating when you can be who you truly are with somebody. That's the whole thing. Like, think about self-expression here in this example. The last time you felt like you were in love with somebody, maybe it's now, or another time in your life, but think about how much you were yourself with that person. Like, being completely a goofball, just being ridiculous, doing and saying some of the strangest shit, but your partner was so involved with it at the same time and doing who they were that you were so self-expressed. That's what you were feeling, is that you were self-expressed to being who you are at the deepest level of you, or at a very deep level of you. So if you practice self-expression on a regular basis, you know, use courage where, you know, cowardice would fill a void. Stand in the "this is who I am," and that you're practicing being that more often. You can tell people. I've told many people in my life I'm up to stuff. But when I'm telling them, I'm like, look, I'm up to being myself as much as I can. And I'm practicing. Just understand that. Because the least amount of support somebody can give you that's still in the support category is not to interfere. That's it. Let you be. Self-expression. So whatever it is that you need to take on, I use karaoke as one of the things. Now, I have a lot of things happening here in the very near future. A dedication moving forward is that for 90 days at a time, I am putting myself into classes of some sort. And those classes are going to be from dance to playing instruments to martial arts, to using tactically using firearms. There's some SWAT training that I want to go through that's civilian based, but they train you like as a tactical response. So there's a lot of things that I'm getting myself into, and I'm giving myself 90 days at a time to find out whether or not it's something that I truly have deep interest in, or if it's just one more thing that I tried and, you know, I got something out of it. I'll get something out of it no matter what. But that is directly linked to my self-expression. That's my thing that I'm doing for me. 90 days at a time. I'm encouraging, you know, my partner Francis to do this. We have a very deep need and reason for it. And you know, I encourage all of my partners to do this. And what I mean in all aspects of any relationship, I encourage people to develop themselves, put themselves someplace that they're able to develop themselves. So every 90 days, I'm going to be switching to something or adding another activity in, depending on if I like what I've been doing for the previous 90. And if I feel that it's the thing that I want to continue on. So just be aware. Singing lessons are in my future. I really enjoy, like, one of the actually the sexiest instrument that I personally am drawn towards is the saxophone. Learn to play the sax. I have multiple different disciplines of dance. You know, I want that as my future, and I encourage other people to create that type of future for themselves, so that they can be full-blown self-expression. That is so incredibly attractive. It is so satisfying. It is the thing that will make you feel like you're living a fulfilled life. Self-expression is absolutely required for that. So, that's it for today's video on self-expression. I am your host, Sir Chad Everett Broshears, and this is Growing Up in the Wilds of Suburbia. Now, if you like the video, please hit the like button. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Share this video with people in your life you'd like to be able to make, to break the ice, to have a conversation about something, if this helps breaks the ice. I do this because I want to be able to be more of a torchbearer, to be able to offer insights in such a way that you can potentially see other options. Now, it may never be the same reality for you that I'm speaking about. You'll have your own version of that. I hope to be that type of torchbearer for you, just to be able to get you out of the sticky stuff. Now, this is not easy. Having a powerful life is not something that will be given to you. Having a fulfilled life is something that you have to work for. To me, there is no better time spent than that of development, connection, and growth. I hope that you join me on this journey to create that powerful life, that fulfilled life. So until next time, I am your host. Again, Sir Chad Everett Brochures. And stick with me. Stick with me. We'll create that powerful life together, okay? Until next time. See ya.